Major Weis, it's very interesting that back in 2014, you yourself were part of Operation Protective Edge. This was against the Hamas in Gaza. You were inside some of these terror tunnels that you were explaining to us about. Can you tell us what they are like, since you have been in one of them extensively at that?
Sure. So I think the best way to think of the tunnels is really to imagine that there is Gaza above ground and then there is Gaza underground. And when I went into one of these tunnels in 2014, I was struck by how advanced they were, by the engineering of these tunnels, by the concrete and the engineering that went into building them. These were impressive tunnels. All made with concrete pieces, all exactly the same size, structurally sound, were wired for electricity. It's very clear that Hamas has invested millions and millions of dollars in their tunnel network. And the tunnels that exist now under Gaza are being used by Hamas to store and to move people, weapons, supplies, infrastructure, rather than invest this money in Gaza above ground, which would be Gaza for the civilians.
To think they could have used even a fraction of this money to try and build bunkers for their civilians. But Major Weis, it's interesting that you're giving us a detail of what these tunnels really look like. You must also explain to us what really were these tunnels being used and how deep are these tunnels? Because many have said that that may be one of the reasons, and you can perhaps tell us about it, is the reason why the IDF does not want to storm and go inside the tunnels. They do not want a full-on offensive inside the tunnels because it may simply be a trap.
Well, we know that Hamas has invested significantly in these tunnels, but we also, on the IDF side, are aware, and this is not a new threat. We unfortunately are aware of long use that Hamas has had of these tunnels, and we certainly will be prepared to handle the threat anywhere that it comes from Hamas. But I think really your comment on the investment here is tragic, and to think that Hamas could have invested not only in shelters, but in perhaps trying to create a peaceful future side by side with us and a better reality for their own people, and instead have invested millions in the tunnels, in the rockets that they have, in all of the terror infrastructure, is a real tragedy.
Absolutely.